วันนี้เรามุ่งมั่นที่จะนำข้อเสนอแนะเหล่านั้นประกอบกับเสาหลัก3ประการของปฏิญญาทางการเมืองที่โดอาได้แก่การกระจัดความยากจนการมีงานทำที่มีคุณค่าและมีความเหมาะสมสำหรับทุกคนและการบูรณาการทางสังคมในการบริโภคพี่น้องประชาชนและประชาชนที่มีความเป็นอยู่ที่ยากลำบากมาดำเนินการให้เป็นรูปธรรมในระดับภูมิภาคและระดับท้องถิ่นประเทศไทยได้นำเสาหลักสำคัญทั้ง3ประการไปสู่การปฏิบัติผ่านแนวทางการพัฒนาทุนมนุษย์ในทุกช่วงวัยการสร้างความมั่นคงให้เกิดความผาสุกให้เกิดความต่อเนื่องตั้งแต่แรกเกิดจนถึงสูงอายุหรือจนถึงเชิงตะกอนนั่นคือภารกิจของประเทศไทยที่ต้องดูแลประชาชนในทุกภาคส่วนโดยยึดหลักครอบครัวเป็นศูนย์กลางแนวทางการดำเนินงานของประเทศไทยโดยกระทรวงการพัฒนาสังคมและความมั่นคงของมนุษย์ตอบสนองการเปลี่ยนแปลงนำหลักปัญหาการเชิงโครงสร้างของประชากรโลกของประชากรของประเทศเข้ามาสู่การวิเคราะห์วางแผนออกแบบแล้วขับเคลื่อนโดยเฉพาะการแก้ปัญหาเรื่องสังคมสูงวัยที่ประเทศไทยเข้าสู่สังคมสูงวัยเป็นรูปแบบมีประชากรที่มีเป็นผู้สูงอายุมากกว่า20%ควบคู่กับการเสริมสร้างความเป็นน้ำหนึ่งใจเดียวกันระหว่างคนรุ่นใหม่รุ่นกลางและรุ่นเก่าส่งต่อการทำงานการดูแลทุกช่วงวัยอย่างมีประสิทธิภาพเพื่อรองรับความต้องการและความเปลี่ยนแปลงทั้งเรื่องสภาพภูมิอากาศทั้งเรื่องของสภาพโครงสร้างประชากรของประเทศต้องขอบคุณในความร่วมมือที่วิประเทศในภูมิภาคนี้ให้ความร่วมมือกันอย่างต่อเนื่องไม่ว่าทั้งภาครัฐด้วยกันเองทั้งภาคประชาสังคมองค์การระหว่างประเทศที่เราประสานความร่วมมือในการจัดกิจกรรมคู่ขนานในวันนี้เพื่อเราที่จะร่วมมือกันพัฒนานำแนวคิดการดูแลประชากรการแก้ปัญหาแก้เปลี่ยนในมิติของประเด็นเชิงโครงสร้างประเด็นเรื่องของการเปลี่ยนแปลงของสภาพภูมิศาสตร์ภูมิอากาศของโลกของประเทศซึ่งเป็นหลักฐานเชิงประจักษ์ที่เราประสบในแต่ละปีว่าเรามีปัญหาเหล่านี้เพื่อนำไปสู่การวางแผนออกแบบเพื่อทำแนวทางในการร่วมกันแก้ปัญหานำพันธะกรณีจากปฏิญญาทางการเมืองโดอามาสู่การปฏิบัติที่เกิดผลอย่างเป็นรูปธรรมเพื่ออนาคตข้างหน้าเราจะได้สื่อสารในการประชุมระดับสุดยอดด้วยการพัฒนาสังคมที่ว่าด้วยการพัฒนาสังคมที่จะมีขึ้นเป็นครั้งที่3ในอนาคตต่อไปนี่คือความตั้งใจของประเทศไทยความตั้งใจของกระทรวงการพัฒนาสังคมและความมั่นคงของมนุษย์ความตั้งใจของคนไทยที่จะร่วมมือกับทุกหน่วยงานทุกภาคส่วนที่จะแก้ปัญหาเหล่านี้ให้เกิดผลเป็นรูปธรรมที่ชัดเจนสุดท้ายผมขอขอบคุณทุกท่านอีกครั้งหนึ่งที่ร่วมกันสร้างสังคมที่ให้ความสำคัญต่อการพัฒนาทุกช่วงวัยนำแนวคิดแนวทางและเปลี่ยนเรียนรู้ซึ่งกันและกันในการแก้ปัญหาเชิงโครงสร้างเชิงสังคมที่ผมได้คุยแล้วให้เกิดผลอย่างที่ตั้งใจไว้อย่างแท้จริงขอบคุณครับ
Excellency Guru Kakakon Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security of Thailand, and the speakers, distinguished participants, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this event, co-organized by the Government of Thailand and ESCAP I wish to express my appreciation to the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security for its excellent partnership. In November last year, we gathered in Doha, Qatar, at the second World Summit for Social Development. The summit renewed our collective commitment to people-centered development. It produced the Doha Political Declaration, grounded in 3 pillars, namely poverty eradication, decent work for all, and social inclusion. At the summit, Thailand and ESCA convened a solution session on building societies for all ages. We heard examples from across our region. Today, we move from global commitments to regional and local action. Asian Pacific is home to 60% of the world's population. It is also the world's fastest aging region. Our population is projected to peak by early 2050 and then decline. In several countries, populations have already peaked. The number of children, youth, and working age people is stagnating or declining in many countries. At the same time, the number of older persons continues to rise. These shifts are profound. They reshape economies. They reshape societies. They reshape families now and in the future. Thailand exemplifies this transition. Older persons now account for 21% of the total population. The threshold to be counted as a super age society. Thailand has shown leadership in responding to these changes. Through community-based care, active aging, and comprehensive social protection program, Thailand demonstrates that demographic change can be met with innovation and solidarity. Across the region, countries are at different stages of demographic transition. This diversity is a strength. It offers rich opportunities for learning. Countries further along the transition can share hard-won lessons. Countries at earlier stages can plan ahead and invest strategically. Our region has implemented many promising approaches. These include life course policies that invest in people at every age. They include flexible work environments that support women and families. They include also community hubs that strengthen intergenerational bonds. They include digital tools that expand access to services while bridging divides. Distinguished participants, ESCA champions a rights-based approach to population and development. This means supporting gender equality. It also means building societies for all ages. It means leaving no one behind. I'm very pleased to note that ESCA member states have decided that the 82nd Commission session to be held in Baku, Azerbaijan this coming April will focus on advancing societies for all ages. Furthermore, next year, in 2027, all UN commissions will conduct the 5th review and appraisal of the Madrid International Plan Action on Aging. To facilitate this process, ESCA has launched a voluntary national survey for member states to report on their progress in implementing policies on aging. These are important milestones. The demographic transition is not a crisis, it is the defining reality of our time. If addressed with foresight, equity, and solidarity, it can expand opportunity and strengthen cohesion across generations. We stand ready to support its member states to move from commitment to action in the area of demographic change, in particular on population aging. Today, let us listen to and learn from each other. Let us commit to working together across government, across generation, across communities, basically across all stakeholders, to build inclusive societies for all ages. Thank you very much.
And she really has been a strong partner for ESCAP. Next is Ms. Lisa Rosales, who is the Undersecretary and the Executive Director of the Commission on Population and Development of the Philippines. Again, someone who is well known to our fraternity as one of the key advocates in this area. Welcome, Lisa. Next we have Ms. Tirtha Sudekyo, who is the Director of Poverty Reduction and Social Welfare Ministry of National Development Planning, or BAPNAS, as it's more well known. Welcome, Ms. Tirtha. And last but not least, Mr. Naeem, who is a policy analyst with the ASEAN Center for Activating, who is actually coming in for the director, Dr. Somsak, but he is no less. So welcome, Dr. Naeem. Now, this panel discussion, the way it's designed, we'll have 2 rounds of questions to our panelists. They'll have 4 minutes in each round to try and answer the questions that I pose to them. And after that, I intend to open the floor for questions from the floor, and then we'll come back to the panelists for the responses and for the final remarks. So, without much ado, let me go into the first question of our first round. This is to you. Let's begin with our host country. Thailand has become an aged society, with older persons accounting for 22.7% of the population. What have been the most significant policy innovations in strengthening intergenerational solidarity and building inclusive societies? I mean, I can think of specific examples, but of course you can build on others, including initiatives such as school for older persons and community-based care. Over to you, Kunta.
Thank you, Kuntata, for this important question. Thailand is now an aged society, with older persons accounting for 22.7% of population and projected to become a super aged society in a very short span between 2029 and 2036. Our response is guided by one principle, simple but powerful, that is, family first. We believe intergenerational solidarity begins at home, not in institutions. We strengthen families to be caring and resilient, socially and economically, in line with these 3 pillars of the Doha Political Development Declaration on Social Development, which are poverty eradication, full empowerment, and decent work for all, and social inclusion. To operationalize these, the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security launched MSDHS Closer to You initiative, led by the Minister Akhara Pompao, bringing integrated services directly to communities and household level. Under the MOU on collaboration for the development of quality of life for all, in coordinating with 4 relevant ministries and local government. At the center is the Family School Initiative, led by Department of Women's Affairs and Family Development. It provides structured training and counseling for parents, grandparents, caregivers, and people who in need. The program follows a life cycle approach with 5 core curricula: preparation before marriage or starting a family, support for expecting families and new parents, guidance for family with adolescent, preparation for family with older person, coping with crisis and life challenges. This is such a preventive policy in action. It strengthens communication, shared responsibility, gender equality, and financial resilience. Since 2024, more than 2,500 activities have been delivered through over 700 family development centers nationwide. At the community level, we are professionalizing care for all ages, The Wellbeing and Life Protector Project trains community caregivers, volunteers to support older persons to age in place with dignity, while creating local employment as well. Similarly, the PA Starter Program trains qualified personal assistants for persons with disabilities, ensuring proper screening, sustained community engagement, and sustainable income. Through this initiative, care is no longer treated solely as a private burden. It is community-based, professionalized, and linked to decent work for all. Together with active aging and youth engagement platforms, this forms a coherent family-centered model. Strong families, resilient communities, and inclusive participation across generations. For Thailand, family first is not a slogan. It is a structural strategy to build a society for all ages by intergenerational solidarity or bonds, where every generation supports, learns from, and uplifts one another. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that response, where you provided so many concrete examples. We'll be taking a lot of these into our repository of good policies that we have. And so let me move to the second panelist, Ms. Isabella Gonzalez from the Philippines. Ms. Gonzalez, Philippines is advancing active and healthy aging, and we know that Philippines will be the chair of ASEAN in 2026. You also are campaigning comprehensive social protection networks. So what evidence-based approaches has the Philippines implemented to address population aging? And within that, the whole solidarity between different generations. And just as our previous speaker, any specific examples would be over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tata, and thank you very much for inviting me here. Well, we're talking about evidence-based strategies, policies, and programs. So I would like to talk first about the main data source of the Philippines in crafting policies and even crafting plans of action. So our main source of data is our Statistics Office, the Philippine Statistics Authority, and it is our main source of information on what's going on with our population. Is the population structure changing? Are the young people 14 and below, are they increasing? What's happening? So the Philippines Statistics Authority does its censuses of population every 5 years. So they subscribe to the decennial census of population and housing, but mid-decade we do a census of population to update the population structure. And so that's our main source. So the censuses tell us what's going on with the population structure. So population size, the share of the population of various ages. So in the Philippines, we are still in what we call the demographic sweet spot, where we are still growing, but we have slowed down in growth. So in our 2020 census, the reported growth was 1.6%, and in the recent census last year, or in 2024, we are now growing 0.8%. And so the share of our working age population is around 65%, and our older persons, 65 and above, is still about 6%. But the Philippine Statistics Authority also does population projections based on the recent census, and they have recently released their projections, and we are told that we will be considered an aging population with more than 7% of our population, 65 and above. This is 2 years earlier than the earlier projection. So before it was, we will be in that space in 2030, now it's 2028. So there is a hastening of our population aging. And so these are the data we have aside from the labor force surveys, which tell us where our older persons are. And we find, just like what Sabine said, they are in elementary occupations. They are still in labor force. So very specific examples of how we use the data. We have two plans that I believe are very relevant as regards addressing our aging population issues. One is our Population Development Plan of Action, which aims to leverage on our demographic sweet spots. It's really for us to find how we will really reap demographic dividend. But we have the Philippine population or the Philippine Plan of Action for senior citizens, and the Philippine senior citizens are 60 and above. And this particular plan is where we have our strategy for our social protection for older persons. And there are three areas there: strengthening leadership, coordination, and partnership of those agencies that are involved in addressing aging population issues, facilitating the role and contribution of senior citizens to development, and advancing health and well-being into old age. And so, as you said, Mr. Tata, we are really into promoting active and healthy aging. And so our strategies really focus on how we can really, for our older persons, to help in the economy, and this is what we refer to as silver dividend. So these plans of actions were crafted based on the data, which are mainly censuses and labor force surveys. As regards the intergenerational relationship that we're promoting, our Ministry of Social Work and Development actually has a number of these programs which promote intergenerational relationships, but we leverage on our cultural heritage, where Filipinos are really in families where the mother, the father, the grandparents, the children live together. So we leverage on that, but we have data that show that indeed there is a change in the family living arrangement. More of our Filipino older persons now live alone or as a couple, not anymore with their children and grandchildren. So we use the data to promote intergenerational relationships. And so our social work ministry has what we refer to as the intergenerational program for older persons and children, bringing together the older persons and the children, more the grandparents and the young, because like in other countries, the working age, the mothers and fathers are busy going to work. So the relationships that can be enhanced are for the grandparents and the children. But we are also very concerned about abuse that we see increasing on older persons. So this is about the abuse on older persons. So we also have these kinds of programs to address such. Thank you very much.
I think that, thank you for covering the importance of really good evidence for informing policy. As someone who really worked on the data side as well as on the policy side, you're uniquely placed to do that. And in the second round, maybe we can expand a bit more. But now we have the opportunity to move to Ibu Testa. We know that Indonesia's Population Development Grand Design 2025 to 2045 provides a 20-year roadmap for the Golden Indonesia. Now, how is your ministry operationalizing this framework, which also kind of complements what Mr. Salas said, of taking demographic data and translating it into actionable policies across sectors? And could you share specific examples also bringing in the intergenerational perspective?
Thank you, Mr. Tata. Distinguished speaker, panelists, and participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to extend my appreciation to ESCAP and Government of Thailand for convening this meaningful forum, which bring together experts, policymakers from regions. Indonesia now is the fourth most populous country in the world, and less than 20 years, every 5 Indonesians will be one older people. And it is aging faster than Japan. Japan needs 24 years, while Indonesia needs 21 years due to the bonus demographic that we have right now. But the older person experience higher poverty in Indonesia compared with the national poverty, and it's vulnerable to ageism. Older population demonstrate several distinctive characteristics that also require specific consideration in policy making. Like from the data, we found that around 66% older person live with non-communicable diseases. As individual age, the need for long-term care also increased substantially, reaching 41.9% among those aged 80 years and above. It is based on ILAS data 2023. And despite these challenges, most older persons also express a strong desire to remain economically productive, even after retirement. However, many older adults still rely on their children or grandchildren, and it is also related to the dependency ratio in Indonesia, which is 11% in 2025. Furthermore, approximately 10-year gap between the life expectancy and healthy life expectancy that highlights declining the healthy quality in later life. Older person in Indonesia continue to face multiple changes across various aspects of well-being. In terms of income and economic security, many older adults are at risk of falling into poverty due to the limited coverage of pension schemes and old age insurance. In regard to the empowerment, the program targeting older person remain fragmented and limited. While actually the potential of silver economy is already there. Health and care sector, many older persons experience their frailties, including disability and declining functionally capacity. And then from the environmental perspective, public infrastructure, including housing and transportation system, is often not designed to accommodate the accessibility needs for older adults. And then to address these challenges, Indonesia put the agenda for the older people in the National Development Planning Medium Term 2025 to 2029 in alignment with the commitment of the Second World Summit for Social Development. Indonesia promotes inclusive development grounded in the principle of full and equal participation for all, reflected in the Doha Commitment number 4. It is a true national priority for on human development in RPJMN, and also under Doha Commitment number 3, it is translated into national priority number 6 on building development. And then Indonesia also already formulated the national strategy on aging 2021-2024, and now we are in the process to update the strategy.
Thank you very much. And I think for your very pragmatic presentation of the challenges and the fact that we have to address the fragmentation and move towards an integrated approach. Thank you very much. I'd like to move on to the last question in this round to Mr. Naeem, our Senior Policy Analyst from ACAI. Mr. Naeem, ACAI has been developing regional tools and and promoted knowledge exchange across ASEAN member states. Can you share how you have facilitated some of the policy learning and along with some examples of ACA initiatives that have found their way into national policy? Over to you.
Thank you, esteemed moderator, and I'm honored to joining these panels and also honored to represent our executive director and our colleague at the ASEAN Center for Active Aging and Innovations. Before responding to your question, I would like to briefly introduce our organizations. Our organization, ASEAN Center for Active Aging and Innovation, is a relatively new organization. We have a fully operation for 1.5 years. Our mandate is to support ASEAN member states on supporting aging, active aging policy and implementation at the national and regional level. So ACI, in short, ACI is an intergovernmental body under ASEAN and operating within the ASEAN Health Cluster and Social Welfare Cluster and oversight by ASEAN Senior Official Meeting on Health and Development. So ACI working closely with ASEAN member states to support the active aging policy. So we believe that the active aging policy is the role of the national states and ASEAN member states to implement this initiative, especially the national government and the local government. And the role of ACI is to we would like to be a regional key player and a connector and to be a regional platform to support human-centered development and demographic shift in ASEAN. So we would like to be a regional platform where countries can learn from each other. So we would like to provide opportunity for ASEAN member states can learn from each other and learn from our experts within and beyond ASEAN. And we also connect experts within and beyond ASEAN in geriatric care experts. So this is an opportunity for ASEAN member states can turn the theory into practice and to support ASEAN local solutions for health and well-being of older populations. In being of the regional platform, we also would like to provide catalog of ideas and initiative of active aging. So we develop a regional action plan for active aging for ASEAN. So this focuses on health and well-being. We also include initiative measures and proof of concept framework and innovation for economic and financial security, social participation, inclusion, and age-friendly and enabling environment. So we, in this regional action plan, we work together with ASEAN member state representative, country coordinator, to co-develop ASEAN regional action plan for active aging. So through open consultation, priorities mapping and alignment, we focus on enhancing process of policy dialogue, knowledge exchange, capacity building, and coordinated actions. This to drive aging-related policy transformation, response to active aging-related policy with national development priorities, financial mechanism, institutional structure, and social transformations. And another initiative I would like to highlight is our country coordinator. And we are happy that Ibu Teta, also our country coordinator within the ASEAN's Center for Active Aging and Innovation. So our country coordinator not only transform or translate the policy into practice, but we also listen carefully to our country coordinator. And our country coordinator provide us enormous input for our initiative at the regional and country level. So country coordinator help us to facilitate cross-sector collaboration and inter-ministerial alignment at the national level. And country coordinator representing country-specific priorities and regional discussion and ensuring two-way coordination between ACI and respective government and also supporting integration of regional action plan into practice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing very much how you have been, though it's a young organization, the way you are trying to work through country, trying to localize and address the specificities of each country. So thank you very much. I'm acutely aware we are slightly behind time and we have one more panel to follow. So when we move into our second round, I'll request our panelists to keep their responses brief and succinct. The second round of questions will focus on future directions, partnerships, regional and South-South cooperation. So, Kundaduan, again, for 10 Building on the momentum of the World Social Summit, the second World Social Summit, and the Social Development Expo that you organized so well last year, what are your priorities for regional dialogue and translating that into concrete action? What specific from the South-South cooperation would you want to scale up in our region?
Thank you. From the Second World Summit for Social Development and the Social Development Thailand Expo last year, if you remember, I think that these two states create a real discussion and momentum grounded in practice. The key lesson was clear. Sustainable social development must be locally owned. Yeah, exactly like the theme of our discussion today, from global to regional and local. Communities are strong because of active volunteers, trusted leaders, and strong partnership among citizens, civil society, and also local authorities. Not top-down directives, but bottom-up instead. At the Social Development Expo, we saw intergenerational solidarity in action. For example, older person leading saving groups, volunteers and youth supporting home-based care, and families strengthening community welfare fund together. These are working models ready to scale and strengthen social cohesion from the ground up. Thailand is advancing three concrete priorities. First, institutionalize family first as the foundation of social development as a holistic approach. We are embedding family-centered life cycle policy into national system, strengthening prevention, income resilience, and also intergenerational support so families are well prepared, not just protected. Second, scale community-driven social protection. Saving groups, welfare funds, and participatory housing models are being expanded nationwide. Tools such as the MSO household logbook or database, strengthen case management, more targeting, more accountability, turning local innovation into structured national delivery. Third, build inclusive system for an aging society. We are scaling community-based care models that support older persons with disability, women, children, vulnerable groups, while generating decent local employment and reinforcing social cohesion. When we talk about South-South cooperation, Thailand is ready to turn this momentum into practical regional action. We wish to promote community-to-community learning across Asia and the Pacific. We aim to share taste solutions in family strengthening, social protection, housing, economic resilience. We also seek to collaborate on family-centered policy frameworks and practical monitoring tools aligned with Doha Political Declaration and 2030 Agenda. The message learned from the Expo is simple. Communities are already leading change. Our task now is to scale what works, institutionalize it, and share it regionally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for your success yet comprehensive response and your commitment to South-South cooperation and identifying clear areas where you're ready to cooperate and organizing events like this is already a big plus in the way that you're promoting together. Thank you so much. Ms. Gonzalez, coming to you, you have a special position as the chair of ASEAN this year. So what are the key regional priorities for implementing the Doha Political Declaration in Philippines? And how can ASEAN cooperation mechanisms be strengthened to really address these challenges, including promoting intergenerational solidarity?
As mentioned earlier, our Asia-Pacific region is very diverse. So looking at the whole Asia-Pacific region, we really need to prioritize addressing vulnerabilities of older persons. This will address the poverty alleviation of the Doha Declaration, while providing opportunities for them to participate in national and even local government and community level development. So that's the social inclusion part. And for means of implementation, using data and knowledge products and opportunities for sharing as our means of implementation I shared earlier. And thus, I would like to have very specific notes on this. I would like to put forward digital inclusion as part of social inclusion. This is part of the vulnerabilities of the older persons. In the Philippines, for example, the government is moving towards contactless and digital services to its citizens. But our older persons are not digitally savvy. They don't know how to go to the websites of the government. And for them to have their own accounts, they have to have passwords. And so they are very vulnerable to being scammed, even by their own families. So for me, I would like to put very clearly in our consciousness that part of social inclusion is digital inclusion, which will address one of the vulnerabilities of older persons. Now, on ASEAN, for ASEAN, we are a more homogeneous group. And as you mentioned, Mr. Kata, the Philippines is the chair now. So very specifically, in terms of population development, we actually will have sessions, a very specific session in June on aging policies in ASEAN. But on integrating the Doha Declaration in ASEAN, my proposals are for ASEAN, and well, Philippines can lead this, being the chair is here, to align the Doha Declaration with the ASEAN Community Vision 2045, focusing on the life approach. It will not be a difficult alignment because poverty alleviation, social inclusion, decent work is also part of the ASEAN Community Vision, but really very explicitly state the life cycle approach. Then mainstream all of these intergenerational perspectives in the different committees of ASEAN. And so embed the discussions mainstream, for example, in the ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community Council's agenda, because as I mentioned earlier, in the Philippines, for example, and this is true for us here in ASEAN, that the familyness, the family strength is actually cultural, traditional, but we are not changing. There is I don't see a radical shift to a change in family structure. It's a slow change. And before we know it, we are already in the place where the older persons are on their own. And so this has to be part of the cultural, reflection of ASEAN. Then, of course, I would propose, and I see this as a proposal, that there should be a cross-sectional committee in ASEAN which will see to it that the intergenerational discussions, life cycle approach, are integrated in all of the committees of ASEAN. Thank you very much.
That's so encouraging for us to hear. You're not only looking at exploring the social pillar, but looking at integrating it across the different committees of ASEAN and being the position in which you are. I'd also like to pick, that's very important. The second area I really want to thank you for highlighting is the whole area of digital literacy. And I'd like to highlight a project that SCAP is just implementing on digital literacy being a must. The inclusion of older persons and intergenerational solidarity is central to that. And so important in terms of protecting them, also making them more productive, making them more confident in participating in the labor market, but also protecting them. Nowadays, the bulk of financial transactions happen online. And so I think you are very much on the point in terms of concern. Thank you very much for highlighting that. May I move on to you, Ms. Ibudeta? You are someone from the planning industry, uniquely placed, in a way that you deal with financing, you look at planning, long term. So tell me, what are the key implementation challenges that you have identified in implementing the Doha agenda? What do you see in terms of financing, coordination across ministries, the community engagement? And how do you think this sharing that we have, South-South sharing, and platform like this would help you in this regard?
Yeah. Regarding the financing also it is related to the planning process because everything starts from the planning and then we come up with the budgeting. So our first priority actually how to internalize the Doha commitment into our policies and program. Like I mentioned before that right now we are in the process in the updating of the national strategy on aging and also the action plan on the care economy to better accommodate the growing demand for care services, particularly for older people, while also promoting life cycle and intergenerational approach. And we commit to internalize these policies into our planning and budgeting to ensure robust intervention. And then the next is how to promote the innovative financings beyond the national and regional government budget to support program sustainability and its expansion. In parallel, collaboration mechanisms are being developed to strengthen coordination among stakeholders and prevent overlaps in intervention process, thereby ensuring more efficient and effective program implementation. We also focus right now on the promoting social protection system that include promoting coverage of social protection program that consider not only in a regular commission but also during the disaster. Like maybe you also know that end of 2025 Indonesia in Sumatra area suffered from the big floods and impacted groups also include the older people. So it's very important to develop the adaptive social protection for older people. Also make sure the convergence programs among social protection as well as the empowerment program and convergence give intervention to the older people.
Thank you very much. I think you did refer to the fact that no matter how well you prepare, you need to prepare for contingencies. These are natural disasters, and also, we have multiple policy crises, financial crises, others, which actually impact. And I think it's about planning ahead and building resilience. That's the key. Thank you so much, I'd like to move to Mr. Naeem from Akai. You already answered this in a way of your strategic regional priority, but I'm going to challenge you to highlight which are the areas that need strengthening for what are the mechanisms, what areas need strengthening for truly building aid-inclusive societies across ASEAN, and especially in terms of regional cooperation, in which areas is there a potential? It would be good to look into the future now.
Okay, thank you for your questions, Mr. Moderator. I would like to highlight 4 strategic areas that Akai is focusing on. The first strategic area, we agree that advancing health and well-being is the most important. How to keep the older population fit and healthy, especially if they would like to extending their working life into after they're retired or redirected. So the key strategic areas on advancing health and well-being. So we're focusing on how can we promote integrated and long-term care. So we're also following the WHO ICO, integrated care for older persons. So this is what we're focusing on at the Akai at this moment. At the same time, strategic area 2, focusing on enabling inclusive economy and digital opportunities. Because we believe that the older populations, they also would like to work after they're retired. So how can we support the lifelong employment, also lifelong learning and digital opportunity for older population? and the strategic area 3 regarding the supporting age-friendly and environment and climate resiliency. So I think what we heard from Ibu Teta and other panelists is how can we strengthen resilience of Australian livelihood of the older population in face of disaster and natural hazards. So in this area, we're focusing on equitable infrastructure, healthy and livable city, and intergenerational climate resilience. So these 3 strategic areas we're focusing on. Along this, we're also focusing on digital opportunity. How can we harvesting digitalization, AI to support the healthcare infrastructure and for the long-term care and integrated care. So I have mentioned the country coordinator, regional action plan, expert focus group, but also would like to highlight our tool to ensure that there is an evidence-based policy implementation. So I would like to highlight what ASEAN has been working in developing what we call ASEAN Active Aging Index. So our ASEAN Active Aging Index is to provide standardized evidence-based set of indicators for ASEAN member. We tailor-made this indicator for ASEAN member to measure their progress in active aging status and development. So it's not just about tracking the data, but it's also a learning opportunity and knowledge exchange between ASEAN member states. So data is the key, but we also need to follow with the implementation. And we need to follow the implementation of the evidence-based informed policy making. In this index, we have 6 areas to focus. First is policy and statistics. Second is income and livelihood security. 3 is the health and quality of life for social capital. 5 is the capacity and enabling environment, and 6 is digital inclusion. So these are the areas that we need to track on our ASEAN member states, how they're doing and how they improve their active aging policy development. Thank you.
Thank you for a very comprehensive and covered a lot of ground in a short while. And the area that you have highlighted clearly resonate with the declaration. So clearly we're on the right track here, including it's aligned with the MIPA as well as some of the work that we're doing with UNESCO. Thank you very much. We have come now. This is the opportunity for us, for the audience here, to ask questions to the panelists. Whether you have any short comments or questions, please identify yourself. Please make a question short and a comment short so that we can come back to the panelists and seek their views. So I'd like to open the floor now for questions from the floor. If there are any questions online, I don't know whether there's a mechanism to pick up, but right now I'm looking for questions from the floor, please. Anyone can raise their eye, put your hands up and ask a question. I think I have the delegate from Indonesia, yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. My name is Aditya from Indonesia. The Doha Political Declaration emphasizes people-centered and inclusive development. However,
elderly live, as we know, across the country, in every society, in every community, just like any other people, of course. Sometimes challenges can be specific, whether they are urban or rural. So let me therefore turn to the urban perspective, to the city perspective. Dr. Thierry Viravan, Deputy Director of Social Development Office for the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration. Bangkok is a mega city, a beautiful, enchanting mega city. And I would be really interested to hear also what specific initiatives has Bangkok implemented to become more age-friendly. How is the city addressing the challenges of providing accessible transport, housing and public spaces for an aging population, while doing this also meeting the needs of the young people? Over to you.
Thank you, moderators. Ladies and gentlemen, the vision of the Bangkok is to become a livable city for people of all generations. As the city moves into an aging society, BMA integrate policies on health, social connected, the environment and economy so that residents of every age can live well together. Bangkok's actions are aligned with Thailand's third national plan for older persons and translated into a concrete programs at both city and district level. A key priority is promoting active aging, encouraging older persons to remain healthy, social connected and engaged in community life. For the health, medical professions from DNA hospitals and public health centers provide health screening, prevention and health education. And social development officers, vocational trainers and recreational specialists support community activities, financial literacy and digital skills for older persons. Bangkok has expanded community infrastructure and that support interaction among residents. The city currently has 35 recreation centers where older persons can participate in health and social activities. There are more than 400 elderly clubs operating in communities across Bangkok and over 500 pocket parks. We call 15-minute parks in all 50 districts. These places serve as shared space where seniors, families, youth, and children can meet, exercise, and spend time together. For the question, I will conclude the key success factor of the DNA for the livable city. And the first, Dr. Chacha, Bangkok governor, using IT than paper-based. We already know traffic form to platform for gathering the comments, and so DNA can manage and refer rapidly, even infrastructure and social well-being. The second, networking from the other public and private sectors to join together. And the third, public space, pocket park inside the communities and more than larger parks in the Bangkok, increased intergenerational relation in both health, economics and social. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and I have to say, as a Bangkokian, I truly appreciate what you say about the livable city for all generations. So thank you very much for outlining some of those very practical ideas. As we stay on the urban side of things, as we dialogue here, I'd like to turn to my colleague from UN Habitat, Ms. Yu. How do you see some of the global frameworks that exist, such as the new urban agenda? How do you see that being interacting and relating to the work that's being done in cities when they are guided in addressing the challenges they are facing? Some reflections from you on this.
Thank you for the question. Ladies and gentlemen, from the UN Habitat perspective, the global framework is just like a new urban agenda. It's not objective commitment. It's a global information action. That's the new agenda is a call for city for the inclusive, resilient, safe, and it's sustainable. The new agenda is the center for the people-centered development, leave no one behind, integrated planning, and multi-central governance. To see our region, that's the urgency is clear that the demographic shift is unpredictable in speed. In some economic systems that we have already become from the aging to age in just 20 years, much faster than Europe and in South America. And in 2050, 1 in 5 persons will be coming over 60 years old. More preciously is that our city
become more older, then it becomes the richer. The infrastructure for the informal settlement is aging compared with the climate change for the flood and air pollution and high heat hits the old person most and people with a disability. That means inclusive development is not separately, it's become to the banner for the system of the city, including the house, mobility, and public space. Here, I want to highlight 3 ways for deal with this kind of things. First is the spatial inclusive. For the housing, public space, transport should be accessible and affordable. Securing house for the aged person can lead them to live in the age for dignity. And also the infrastructure for old person is very useful. In China, just like the community space tend to the university for the old person. In Shanghai, about 70 campus involved in 15 minutes of the health care and medical science together. And the second is concentrated on the climate change resilient. We could involve the age family and climate change get together, just like Bangkok, the cooling system materials and also the shadow walkway, resilient house near neighborhood, and with the essential of the evaluation of the climate change. That means we have wondered. The other things is the participation of the governance. Old people and young people should work together in the process of the urban designing. In short, that the new urban agenda is compass and the local action is the engine. The local action use this kind of vision become the real street, real public space and home, and leave no one behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And I think what you also highlighted some of those challenges that the city is facing, air pollution, heat waves that strike so hard on the population and of course specifically on the elderly people in many ways. So thank you for raising some of those issues. I know that the BMA together with the government is working very hard and doing great progress on many of these issues. So thank you so much for that. I think now what would be really interesting is to really look at that intersection between the communities, looking and thinking about what we've heard about the parks, the green spaces, the understanding the challenges as they are related to both housing and community-based or life course interventions. And how does the civil society, how does the community actually see this in creating a coherent society participation of older people while also engaging the youth, trying to bridge that gap that so often can appear between generations. In order to reflect a little bit on this, let me turn to Ms. Nuchari Pansom. Please, the floor is yours.
ค่ะสวัสดีค่ะนุชลีพันสูงนะคะเป็นภาคประชาชนที่ทำงานอยู่ในเขตวังทองหลางวันนี้เป็นผู้แทนของพี่น้องทั่วประเทศนะคะจริงๆแล้วนะคะวังทองหลางเนี่ยเป็นเมืองหนึ่งที่เขตหนึ่งที่อยู่ภายใต้ของกทมนะคะแต่ในก่อนนี้เราอยู่ในพื้นที่ใช้คำว่าผู้เปิดเนาะนะคะเป็นสลัมนะคะตอนนี้มีการพัฒนาเรียบร้อยแล้วนะคะในที่ดินของพระคลังข้างที่ค่ะถามว่ากรณีที่เราทำเนี่ยมีส่วนร่วมกับพี่น้องที่อยู่ในชุมชนทำอย่างไรกับคนสามวัยในการมีส่วนร่วมนะคะ
จริงๆแล้วบางทองหลางนะคะเราใช้โครงการบ้านมั่นคงเป็นเครื่องมือนะคะเป็นเครื่องมือในการช่วยเหลือพี่น้องและก็เชื่อมโยงพี่น้องในการทำบ้านมั่นคงนะคะเป็นโครงการของสถาบันพัฒนาองค์กรชุมชนหรือพชภายใต้กระทรวงพัฒนาสังคมและความมั่นคงของมนุษย์นะคะอันนี้เราใช้บ้านทองหลางนะคะไม่ใช้แค่บ้านมั่นคงในการทำกิจกรรมในการพัฒนาเรื่องที่อยู่อาศัยแต่จะมีบ้านพอเพียงอีกส่วนหนึ่งในการเป็นเครื่องมือนะคะในการทำเราใช้กิจกรรมนำทางนะคะของคนในกทมหรือคนจนกลุ่มผู้มีรายได้น้อยในกทมเนี่ยใช้กิจกรรมในการนำทางเพราะว่าแต่ละคนมีความสามารถแตกต่างกันเราจะใช้เป็นผู้สูงอายุเราใช้กิจกรรมอย่างที่ท่านเห็นนะคะตัวนี้จะเป็นกิจกรรมของผู้สูงอายุที่เราพัฒนามากกว่าบ้านนะคะผู้สูงอายุเขาก็ต้องการมีการเลือกสุขภาพเรื่องออกกำลังกายของผู้สูงอายุในการทำเยาวชนก็จะเป็นอีกกิจกรรมหนึ่งที่เรามองหาว่ากรณีที่ทำงานร่วมกันแล้วกลุ่มเยาวชนกับคนสามวัยจะมาร่วมกันแบบไหนโดยใช้กิจกรรมในการเชื่อมโยงพอมีการรวมกลุ่มรวมคนทั้งเยาวชนทั้งผู้สูงอายุแล้วก็คนวัยกลางคนที่ทำงานเอากิจกรรมเหล่านั้นมาเชื่อมโยงในการพูดคุยนะคะสิ่งที่เกิดความสำเร็จนะคะของพี่น้องชุมชนในกทมเนี่ยสิ่งที่เราทำก็คือหนึ่งมีการแบ่งบทบาทหน้าที่คือหมายถึงว่าเขามีกลไกการทำงานในระดับชุมชนกลไกการทำงานของเขาก็จะมีทั้ง4 มิติในการพัฒนาเศรษฐกิจสังคมสิ่งแวดล้อมและวัฒนธรรมเขาไม่ได้ทำแค่เรื่องใดเรื่องหนึ่งเขาทำไปควบคู่กันตามความถนัดของแต่ละคนนะคะเรื่องที่2พอเราได้มีการแบ่งทีมงานแล้วเราก็จะนำวิเคราะห์ข้อมูลว่าที่ทำกิจกรรมไปแล้วของแต่ละกลุ่มเจอประเด็นปัญหาอะไรที่เราต้องมาแก้ไขร่วมกันและสิ่งที่เราขยายต่อคืออะไรอันนี้คือสิ่งที่เราทำนะคะเรื่องที่3นะคะกลไกการทำงานของเขาคือแกนนำในการแต่ละกลุ่มเนี่ยจะมีความถนัดเฉพาะด้านเพราะฉะนั้นใครเก่งด้านใดให้เดินเข้าด้านนั้นเราจะไม่บังคับพี่น้องในการพัฒนาเพราะว่าการพัฒนาเรามองว่างานพัฒนาคืองานเรียนรู้เพราะว่าในห้องเรียนไม่สามารถจะเรียนรู้เรื่องงานพัฒนาได้เพราะฉะนั้นทุกคนต้องสามารถเข้าไปในกล่องงานแล้วเรียนรู้พร้อมๆกันนะคะเรื่องที่4ที่เรามองว่าสิ่งที่จำเป็นมากที่สุดคือเราต้องทำให้สม่ำเสมอและปฏิบัติเป็นวัฒนธรรมอันนี้คือสิ่งหนึ่งที่พวกเราทำนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นเรามองว่ากิจกรรมต่างๆมันเป็นแค่เครื่องมือของพี่น้องถ้าจะเกิดความยั่งยืนมันต้องเกิดจากตัวชุมชนเองนะคะภาครัฐจะเติมเต็มแค่ในส่วนที่ทางชุมชนไม่สามารถที่เข้าถึงได้ยกตัวอย่างเช่นด้านกฎหมายบางเรื่องบางข้อเราไม่สามารถที่ปฏิบัติเรื่องด้านกฎหมายได้อันนี้คือสิ่งหนึ่งที่ภาครัฐเข้าไปเติมเต็มในการทำงานร่วมกันนะคะพี่น้องในชุมชนผู้มีรายได้น้อยในส่วนใหญ่นะคะภาครัฐจะสนับสนุนในการทำงานร่วมกันเพราะเรามองว่าเราจะให้เกียรติการทำงานร่วม1นะคะเราถือว่าเขาเป็นพ่อเมืองเราเป็นลูกที่สามารถเดินตามในการพัฒนาแต่หลักๆคือคนที่ชุมชนต้องลุกขึ้นมาจัดการตนเองได้ค่ะ
Thank you very much for sharing those community voices and explaining to us how the approach of inclusivity is so strong in the work that we're doing to bring this forward. Thank you very much for that. But let us stay on the issue of inclusive approaches and making sure that we are really including everyone and building bridges within our societies. So for the final comment on this round, let us hear from the youth perspective, Ms. Pompatima Esther, from the Children and Youth Council of Thailand. How do you see intergenerational solidarity being strengthened to ensure that young people are active partners in building the inclusive societies for all ages? How do you see that young people can play this supporting role for older persons and also contributing to the community-based care and social integration? Please, over to you, Esther.
Thank you so much. From a youth perspective, intergenerational solidarity can be meaningfully strengthened when young people are institutionally recognized as equal and active partners in decision-making processes at local, provincial, and national levels. Youth participation should not be symbolic, but structurally embedded within governance mechanisms that enable young people to contribute substantively to policy formulation, implementation, and monitoring. In Thailand, the Children and Youth Development Promotion Act institutionalizes meaningful youth participation through the establishment of children and youth councils at sub-district, district, provincial, and national levels. Local administrators provide mentorship and facilitative support, while the Department of Children and Youth under the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security offers national-level coordination and policy guidance. While the partnerships with public and private sectors further strengthen financial and institutional support for youth-led initiatives aligned with SDGs. For example, our National Children and Youth Assembly convened in collaboration with UNICEF Thailand. Through nationwide consultation, the Assembly consolidated over 30,000 youth perspectives on child rights and policy recommendations formally submitted to the Prime Ministers. This demonstrates that when institutional mechanisms are in place and adults uphold their enabling roles, youth participation can be meaningfully inform national policy making and inclusive development processes. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah, it is as our colleagues in UNICEF often say, the children are half of our current population, but all of our future. So making sure that we bring the youth into all our decision making is what's going to make those decisions sustainable for the future. So thank you very much for emphasizing the importance of the youth participation here. Let us now go to our second round of questions and focus really on what communities need to scale up in order to reach the success and partnership at the local level. And here let me start by again turning to Dr. Natapong. What factors contribute to the success of local age-friendly initiatives? What support do you feel that the local health authorities need from national government and development partners to scale up a successful community-based health program for older persons? And here I think it's fair to recognize the remarkable universal health care that Thailand has put in place that is so strong across the country with its health structures and health volunteers. So I think Thailand can really share a lot of experience and lessons when it comes to this across the world. So very keen to hear from this. Over to you.
Thank you, moderator. As you said, we have a UC, universal coverage, but we become the super age society soon. So a lot of budget of the health issue, health financials. By the way, a key success factor is collaborations among the 7 ministries. During the 2022 until 2026, this partnership effect a strong commitment to promote the inter-ministerial cooperation between the 7 ministries. In advancing lifelong human development, particularly for the older persons, effort had to drive it for policy to practice in a concrete manners. To establishment of the operations mechanism support the target group at the local level. We believe that the older persons are the pillar of the society. So what is the cooperations of this 7 ministry we call 4S strategy. The first S is the social participation to promote the active engagement in the society. The second is the social security to enhance the security and safety. It's AFCs belong to the security as well. The third is strong health to strengthening the health and well-being system. And the fourth is the smart digital and innovation to advancing the smart use of digital technology and innovations. This process is to ensure that the AFL community have developed the process in a continuous and systematic manner for policy and the standard to tangible local level outcome. The key objective to enable Thai community to respond to the population aging with the quality and sustainable. additions, the commitment of the local leaders such as the mayors or the heads of the sub-district administrative organization is a key man. When they perceive aging not a burden but is opportunity for the urban development to allocate the local budget to invest in a friendly infrastructure is become the key driver of the success. Regarding the supportive from the central governments, local government needs a practical enable mechanism that include the technical knowledge, create standard operational guideline that can apply and successful model for the knowledge sharing. To sum up, I give you the key of the key success. First is the multi-sectoral approach on the partnership. Second is the leadership. And the third is knowledge sharing. And the last one is data driven. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I think we're hearing throughout the APFSD, we're going to hear the importance of having data-driven decision-making with strong political will to implement. And I think this is really something that echoes regardless of the areas we're looking at. And I think this is also why now when we're moving to the Bangkok perspective again, it is also about looking at some of those cross-sectorial issues that we mentioned, and you mentioned before how Governor Chichat is working on the AI, making that digital, and we of course know that there is a risk of leaving some behind if we move too fast on the digital, and how do we work with that? So what would be very interesting to hear from you now, Dr. Viravan, is a little bit about what partnership between local government and civil society and communities are you looking at in order to be as age-friendly as possible on some of the elements that you mentioned before as well. So over to you.
I agree with Doctor for the data driven, and I think young people are encouraged to feel a sense of ownership of the city is the most important. If they feel sense of ownership of the city, the city can grow up by involving them in urban design and development through the youth council. Now BMA has a youth council at every district. They are able to propose projects and work together with BMA to push this initiative forward. Bangkok promotes the use of this level Bangkok Health Security Fund by encouraging groups of at least 5 residents to come together and propose community health promotion projects. This initiative aims to strengthen community well-being and public health. And now the registered community with BMA can receive up 200,000 baht per community in funding to develop projects. Proposals are submitted through the community committee and public consultation process is conducted before the budget is approved. So partnership is most competent is the young council or youth council in the in Bangkok. If we collect and hear the voice from the youth, we will collect and we will receive the important issue from them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That brings us back to what Ms. Vuti-Samatana was saying earlier about the youth participation and the importance of bringing this. So it's also very interesting to hear that we are echoing each other in what we know will be the right way forward in addressing the challenges as we are looking at creating an inclusive society for all ages. With that, let me move on to UN Habitat, and how do you see it not being a national counterpart, but rather being an international UN entity on this? How do you see it that you can work with the accelerated implementation of inclusive age-friendly urban policies from your perspective? And are there models that you've seen in other parts of the region that you want to put on the table for us here?
Thank you, Alfie, representative of the UN Habitat and the UN agency that make the conclusive and age-inclusive the society better. We work with three connectively. One is evidence and data, as our Thai colleague said before, that we use the platform like the urban monitoring data systems that help the city to track the unfairness and sort the data for the age, gender, and the income. That without this kind of data, the inclusive just idea, not action. And also with this data, the local government can find which part is needed most. The second is that capability and integrated planning. We use the voluntary local review to study the problem and tell the city which part is ready for the investment. And in Thailand, we work with the Thailand local government that show that SDG localization can really improve the coordination with the national and the local government. And it's also a key method to deal with the dramatic challenges. And just like we work with the BMA for the transport with the climate, and that means the QB development also can really make program for the old people and people with disability. That action show that climate, transport reform, and the demographic challenge can work together, and also help the local government to make their strategy into a project and find money. And the last one is that the company and the partnership. UN Habitat, like other UN agencies, produce the regional and the global platform for knowledge exchange. We hope South-South cooperation and make city can work together and learn together. Just like some good example, Uncle the project at the community level that make old people can save easily with their home, and also to strengthen the community, strengthen. And in Singapore, we hope compare the housing and mobility together and get people to easy to go, and also to get them delivered easily. For the last is inclusive urban development, not a social cost. It's investment for the economic productivity, social stability, and resilience. UN Habitat and other UN agencies will keep working together with the local government, with our Asia and Pacific region to make our global promise leave no man behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this, and I think you really highlighted some key points for us there. But I think I want to stay a little bit on the external engagement, if I use that term. So let me therefore turn to the Ban again and to your initiative and hear a bit more in detail of the types of partnerships that you're looking for from the government and also from non-governmental partners, and how you see that to strengthen the community-led initiatives for Asian societies. Over to you.
จริงๆแล้วการที่จะเกิดความยั่งยืนของชุมชนเองนะมันต้องเป็นชุมชนที่ลุกขึ้นมาจากการตนเองได้นะคะแต่นี่คือมองเรื่องแผนนิดนึงนะแผนกับนโยบายปัจจุบันนะคะที่ทำยังไม่สามารถที่จะลงปฏิบัติระดับชุมชนได้ก็เลยอยากจะให้มีแผนหรือกำหนดนโยบายเนี่ยการมีส่วนร่วมของภาคประชาชนที่เข้ามาในอยู่ระบบกลไกกับแผนนะคะ เพราะว่าถ้าเกิดว่างบประมาณหรือว่ากลไกต่างๆที่สามารถลงสู่ชุมชนได้มันจะเกิดความยั่งยืนของชุมชนและชุมชนจะใช้การบริหารจัดการที่เขาเรียกว่าที่ภาคชาวบ้านเรียกว่าคันตรงไหนเก่าตรงนั้นให้มันถูกที่ถูกเวลานะคะเพราะฉะนั้นปัจจุบันนี้แผนกับนโยบายมันยังไม่สอดคล้องกันเท่าไหร่ในการบริหารมันยังกองอยู่ตรงกลางเพราะฉะนั้นทำยังไงมีวิธีการแบบไหนการออกนโยบายกับแผนเพื่อให้หนึ่งมีกระบวนการส่วนร่วมของภาคประชาชนสองสามารถลงสู่ชุมชนหรือท้องถิ่นที่มีความสนิทในการปฏิสัมพันธ์ของชุมชนได้นะคะเพราะฉะนั้นมองว่าผู้สูงอายุนะคะเป็นทรัพยากรหนึ่งในชุมชนที่มีความชำนาญการพิเศษเราจะไม่ลืมเรื่องของผู้สูงอายุในการที่ช่วยเหลือเบื้องต้นเพราะว่าทางชุมชนเองนะคะก็จะมีทำฐานข้อมูลเหมือนที่อาจารย์หลายๆท่านพูดนะคะหนึ่งชุมชนจะทำฐานข้อมูลผู้บอบบางในชุมชนและทำฐานมือของแต่ละชุมชนไว้ถ้าเกิดสถานการณ์ใดปุ๊บเนี่ยสามารถเข้าถึงบุคคลนั้นได้เลยนะคะเพราะสุดท้ายเรามองว่าการรับอย่างมีคุณค่าการให้อย่างมีคุณค่ารับอย่างมีศักดิ์ศรีหมายถึงว่าทางภาครัฐให้เรารับแบบมีคุณค่านะคะแต่ในสุดท้ายคือทำยังไงให้เรามีศักดิ์ศรีเพราะนั้นหนึ่งกลไกต้องมีภาคประชาชนมีส่วนร่วมในการออกแบบหรือกำหนดนโยบายนะคะสองนะคะในการหนุนเสริมของชุมชนในส่วนที่เติมเต็มหรือขาดนั่นคือเป็นสิ่งหนึ่งที่ภาคประชาชนที่เราต้องลุกขึ้นมาจัดการตนเองแล้วก็ภาครัฐในส่วนหนึ่งที่อาศัยภาครัฐเพื่อในสิ่งที่เราขาด
Thank you so much for that. And the sustainability of the civil society organizations, their strength, the predictability of knowing that civil society will continue to be there and engage is absolutely key as we move on the sustainable development goals across all sectors. So thank you for raising this important aspect. So returning then to the young people perspective, can I ask you Ms. Valtisanavata, I don't need to put you on the spot for you to respond on behalf of all youth, but it would be very interesting to hear from you how you see that policies can support programs more for intergenerational cooperation. What do you think are the key issues missing in order to engage youth voices in planning for demographic change and inclusive development?
Thank you so much, Michaela. First, this is not just my opinion. This is from the findings of the 2025 National Children and Youth Assembly Survey, which gathered input from over 30,000 young people across Thailand. Young people are calling for more inclusive, future-oriented, and responsive policies. The surveys highlight that concerns about social division, inequality in education and technology access, also mental health, job insecurity, climate change, and violence. Young people urge stronger intergenerational collaboration, targeted support for marginalized and rural communities, and efforts to close the digital divide. They also call for education reform, digital and green skills development, career employment pathways, and accessible mental health services to prepare for demographic change. Youth are ready to contribute to community care and sustainability if supported with skills and institutional backing. To ensure meaningful engagement, governments should institutionalize regular youth consultations, integrate youth-generated data into policy processes, and establish transparent follow-up mechanisms that ensure continuity and accountability from local to national. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, and I really think what you said echoes and resonates with all of us in some of these issues, and as you mentioned before, it's about having the youth participation, because we know that the challenges of climate change, of the digital development, of the educational gaps, they are not specific purely for the youth, but it is the youth that will be the future. So this is really where we need to focus, so thank you for bringing those very important points. Dear all panelists, this is where it gets very complicated, because this is where I'm going to open the floor. So now we don't know what the rest of the room will ask you. We'd like to hear from you or would like to comment on what you have already put forward as ideas. We have approximately some 10-15 minutes as it is if there are additional questions and comments from the floor. And I ask anyone who want to raise your hand to please do so. I might be able to see it on the screen, otherwise I will look very carefully across the room. And when I give you the floor, please introduce yourself so that our panelists have a chance of understanding your perspective and where you come from. So with that, thank you very much.